Hello Stampers, it's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and I'm here live today to show you a really cute card with one of our new Halloween stamp sets called Ghoulish Goodies. And I've been playing around with some of the products from the holiday catalog, the mini catalog, and Halloween is one of my very favorite times of year, so I have been creating a lot of Halloween projects that I want to share with you over the next couple weeks. So this is one of them, and I'm actually not going to give you a sneak peek of the card before we get started. We're just going to go ahead and get started. So if you're here following me on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're following me on Facebook, thank you so much for watching me today. Don't forget to let your friends know that I'll be sharing some more Halloween ideas coming up. So let's go ahead and get started. The first card is pretty simple, and what I want to tell you is towards the end I'm going to show you how to step this card up, but I wanted to show you a more simple version if you had a lot of cards to make. So that's what I'm going to show you first, and then I'm also going to show you this same card using a different stamp set. So let me put the stamp set just over a little bit so it's not in the way. And what we need is a card base. This is 8.5 by 5.5. And I just scored it at 4 1/4. And I just have a little bit of stamping to do. I have a piece of Whisper White, and I am just using the basic black Memento ink for all of my stamping today. So this is the inside, again 4 by 5 1/4. I just like to have a little bit of stamping on the inside, so I'm going to stamp that right up there. And then if I wanted to, I could stamp something else here, but I think I'm going to leave that for good. And then I'll go ahead and put that right on the inside of my card since I'm not doing anything else with that piece. I hope you're all having a great day here in Michigan. It's turning into fall-like weather. Summer didn't even say goodbye. We just woke up one day and it was really cold and rainy, and we'll have some more warm days, I'm sure. So I'm going to set that piece aside for just 1 second, and I'm going to do a little bit of stamping here. Now, I realized that I forgot to get my greeting out, so I'm going to get that out real quick. And I'm going to use the most spooktacular time of the year. I'm going to stamp that right up here at the top. And then I'm going to ink up my little kitty cat here. Make sure it's really well inked. And I probably have said this to you before, but whenever I stamp down with a pretty solid stamp, I kind of hold it. Don't rock it. Just hold it just a minute. And I feel like that lets all the ink transfer evenly from the stamp over to the paper. Maybe that's just me, but that's something that I like to do. Now I'm going to use this little spider. I thought it was kind of fun hanging down there. And I'm going to put a couple of them on there. And, oops, one more thing I need to do. I decided that I would also like to, on this one, do a little stamping on my side pieces. So let me grab a piece of scrap paper real quick. These pieces here are cut at 1 1/4 by 4 1/4, and these are going to go on the front of the card. So I'm just going to kind of use my background stamp. This one I'm doing eek. There's also a boo, the word boo in here. And so if you were using a different stamp set, you could put ghosts, you could put pumpkins, you might be able to do some bats, whatever works for you. This particular set, again, has lots of fun things. It's not a trick, just a treat. That would be great on a treat bag. Good to the last bite. Goes here with Dracula. You have a cat. Another thing for Ghoulish Goodies. So if you wanted to give some Halloween treats to someone, that would be perfect. Okay, so I have these 3 pieces, and I'm going to bring my card base back over. And I'm going to start in the center. And I'm going to put this piece right here in the center. I'm going to put adhesive on my other two pieces. And it doesn't matter what order you do them in, whatever looks good to you. I'm going to put the pumpkin pie on the top. This one here is Gorgeous Grape, and this one is Granny Apple Green. And then I am going to set that aside for just 1 second. So on this here, I did want to use some of my Stampin' Blends markers. And before we start, I'm going to take my Granny Apple Green. I'm actually going to get the dark Granny Apple Green. I think that will be a little bit better. And I'm going to color one of these small jewel rhinestones, the clear ones. And I'm going to let that dry for just a second. It only just takes a second. Now I'm going to take my blends and I'm going to color my little cat eyes green. That's a Granny Apple Green, actually. And then I'm going to use dark Highland Heather to color in the collar. And then I'm going to use light cinnamon cider for the little pumpkin nose. And I'm going to go back here to my rhinestone that I colored in with that dark Granny Apple Green. And I'm going to put it right there on the collar. I thought that was a nice little sparkle. You could color these and use them for the eyes. I decided that I would just use it for the collar there. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of this glittered organdy ribbon. It's so sparkly and pretty. I'm just going to take a little piece of it and I'm going to fold it in half. And now I'm going to turn my card piece over, put a couple lines of adhesive there, and then I'm going to turn it over and I'm just going to adhere it right in there. Now I'm going to put some dimensionals. I'm also going to put a little more adhesive just to make sure that sticks. I'm going to grab my dimensionals and I am putting one over the edge of that just to make sure it stays right where I want it to stay. And I'll pull the backing off of these. And this is going to go right here on the front of the card. So isn't that super cute? It's super cute, super easy. You could easily produce this a lot of times or just a couple times depending on how many cards that you want to make. So let me bring it up so you can see how fun it is. Now if you like to step up your stamping just a little bit, I'm going to show you a stepped up version. But one thing that I want to show you real quickly, a product that's in the catalog that I'm using. I'm going to set that card aside for just 1 minute. These are two of the punches that are in the catalog. And even I made the mistake of getting them mixed up. So this is here on page 65 in the mini catalog. And it does come bundled with the Banner Year bundle. And now this bundle here, or this punch here, does like a banner and then a banner on this side. This is still a label, like a label maker, I guess I would call it. But it's not the banner. So you can see there's two different punches. So don't make the mistake like I did. I thought that I already had this one, but it was actually this one. So this is what I'm going to be using today. And this one is actually called the Banners Pick-a-Punch. So remember, this is our card, and I told you I was going to step it up just a little bit. So I still have the basic black card, and I have the inside. So I am going to real quick just trade my stamp out, and I'm going to put a different image on the inside. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Do you send out Halloween cards? Do you do Halloween treats? Halloween is one of my absolutely favorite times of year. I like to see all the kids dressed up. I like to decorate my house. I like to give out little treats to people at the store and really anywhere I have the opportunity. My post office, I always give little treats to my post office workers so that I can show them how much I appreciate them. Okay, so leave me a comment. Be sure and let me know if you like to go all out for Halloween too, or if that's just too much for you. Okay, now I did start again with, actually this one's too big. This needs to be 1 inch by 4 1/4, because this punch here, you can feed through 1 inch, 3 1/4, and 1/2 of an inch for them to layer. So this needs to be 1 inch, and I cut it to 1 1/4, so I'm just gonna cut it down real quick to be able to show you what I did. All right, so I took that 1 inch piece, I put it through. I like to look on the back to make sure that it's cutting just how I want it to be. And there we go. I did it to both sides. And there we go. So then what I did to step this card up a little, I'm going to put that aside. So I used the same colors. I used Gorgeous Grape, Granny Apple Green, and Pumpkin Pie. And then I took a piece of the Halloween designer paper that you'll find in the same holiday catalog, the mini catalog, and I cut that to 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4. I ran it through the same punch so that it met up exactly at the ends. And now I'm going to put this on the front. So now we've just added a little bit of designer paper, but you can see on our original card, we stamped on the background. That looked just fine. This is just a different look. Make sure your bats or whatever you're putting on your designer paper is right side up. And I should have said, I cut this piece here out of the Hippo Happiness. If you're new to following me, you'll want to be sure and check that out. The Hippo Happiness die set. There's lots and lots of great dies in there. It does coordinate with the stamp set, but there are lots of great dies that we can use for greetings on the top of our cards. And so you'll see me using those a lot. That's what that is. Now on this one, I decided I would put the witch and the cauldron and the cat, and I did To a Frightfully Good Friend, and I put the spiders. The only thing that I want to do to step this up just a little is I'm taking my Granny Apple Green ink. And I don't know if you've seen these blender brushes. You could also use a sponge dauber or a regular sponge. This is what I had, so this is what I'm going to use. And I'm just putting this in my green ink. Now I'm going to come in right on the witch. And I'm just going to gently kind of create a shadow around her. Isn't that kind of spooky? And so we didn't do a whole lot. We just added a little bit of color. I did take my Stampin' Blends marker, you can see right here, and I colored in the witch's hat. And then the last thing that I think I want to do, I'll put this on first and then I'll do it. So let's add some more dimensionals. Don't you think dimensionals just make everything better? I love popping stuff up. It just adds a little layer, a pop of happiness to your card. And it doesn't add anything if you don't add too many to a card. So just like before, I'm going to put this right in the center. And then I'm going to take my Wink of Stella, and I just want to go over the cauldron. I mean, you could glitter everything up. Let's do it. There. So now it's all glittered up. So you can see that this one's kind of basic, but not too basic. You could do the same thing to the cat, doing the sponging around the cat. And I would do that before you do any of your other, like stamp the cat and then do it. Definitely before you put the rhinestone on. So you could step that one up this way. Now I want to show you, I promised you one more card that was created not Halloween. And I'm not going to stamp this one, but I wanted you to see that you can use the same layout just with another stamp set. And this is with the Fern stamp set, the Forever Fern. And so for this one, this is the stamp set that I used. I didn't do any punching or anything. I did use the Forever Fern coordinating little gold, I guess you'd call it twine. I used Pear Pizzazz, Pretty Peacock, and Just Jade. And then I used the Stitch Shapes framelit. And I'm sorry, those are not Stitch Shape, Nested Labels framelit die. And then I just put it on a piece of white cardstock. So you can see it looks the same layout. I did use a different piece here for the greeting as opposed to this, but all the same layout, just making it a different occasion. So that's fun to do sometimes when you're stuck, that you don't exactly know what to create. Pull out some of your old cards and just change up the stamp set that you're using, and it's a brand new card. So again, if you're following me on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe button and then hit the little bell so that you get all of the notifications for my projects. And then share with your friends, let them know, come on over and follow me so that they can get some fun ideas too. I hope that you liked these ideas today, and thanks so much for taking time to watch the video, and be sure to stop back because I'm going to have lots of fun ideas with the new product in the catalog coming up. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.